My name is Patrick McCabe. I live in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. I'm here speaking with the Positive Coalition. I would first like to just make a comment to the council. Last week you had a hearing. It lasted 3.5 hours. I'm so proud of what I saw last week. I think every question that we possibly could have was brought up, and the nominee handled them very well. We weren't happy with all the answers. But when I first started coming here, the first thing I was looking for was transparency and openness to the process. And I think if last week's any indication, then I think we really have it. And I'm just really proud of what happened last week. And I hope it doesn't have to be another 3.5 hours, but I hope that we do clarify the issues that we think are so important to the family courts. We did send a questionnaire to. First of all, I'd like to say, as I looked at her resume, I noticed that she went to college in the neighborhood. At the same time I went to a college. I was often at the college she was at. I don't know that I actually know her, but it's very possible we have crossed paths. But going on to the judicial nominations, we always had two issues. One are the 208A restraining orders. Our concern is that every nominee that can issue a restraining order knows the basis, which is reasonable fear of imminent serious physical harm. Last nominee spat it out like that. That's the end of the issue as far as we're concerned. We hope they follow the law when they're on the bench, that we were looking for knowledge of that law. The other issue is custody, and this was a bit trickier. You folks have discussed this with each of the nominees. We would like to hear from this nominee about what happens when custody is decided, particularly when temporary orders are made. Temporary orders in Massachusetts are not open to appeal under the current procedures that they have. Temporary orders tend to be final orders. Temporary orders, as we know, are overwhelmingly in favor of sole physical custody. Last week, we heard that the nominee's position was if two people couldn't get along, that was most likely what was going to happen. It wasn't absolutely clear, but that's certainly the impression that I got. I just want to let you know, and in case you don't, I think you do know, is that when you get temporary orders, if you get the rubber stamp, you're going to have one night a week and every other weekend. And here's the problem with that as far as shared physical custody goes. If you are the uncustodial parent, even though the children are with you, they're not in your custody. I don't know what the rationale for doing that is. Last week, when the nominee was asked about shared physical custody, he said it's an unimportant issue. People are arguing too much over it. And then as the questions went through, on at least 3 occasions, he told us how shared physical custody goes into a lot of other decisions. And in particular, I'm going to bring up one case that happened here where shared physical custody was very important and which has been brought up by this council a number of times.
Patrick, I don't like to ever interrupt to bring this for 2 quick things. One is, could you address your issues with this nominee? I appreciate that versus last week's nominee. That's why I'm not here today. I appreciate it.
Okay, I'm just trying to bring up the issues, which is the shared physical custody. We'd like to know about this nominee as temporary orders. How are they going to make the decision? We understand the history of it. We're also very aware, and we've heard in this council many times, this council's concern for the move away parent situation. Many people have often complained about when a case where a parent moved away and then the other parent is allowed to see their child through the internet. This was the lawyer that was involved in that case. So our concern is what happened in that case. At what point, and as we found out last week, the issue was shared physical custody. It was not shared physical custody, it was sole physical custody, which makes it easy for someone to move away. I'd like to know what happened in that case, how the father lost custody, and how the decision was rendered that most of the council has mentioned are very unhappy. So those are our concerns.
So are you in opposition to this candidate?
This is because our lack of knowledge, because we did not get responses on the restraining order knowledge and on custody knowledge.
Yes.
I have a question, because I want to make sure I did not misunderstand you. Did you say that the case that was in front of Judge E. Shuto Merrill, which is the Internet visitation case, that the case in front of E. Shuto Merrill, which is the Internet visitation case that's been referred to many times in questioning by many counselors here, that this attorney Poblocki, was one of the attorneys in that case.
That's what I've read.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you for your remarks about, Jeff Dabber. It was a very good appointment. I'm glad you commented. And if people here don't know what the council is saying, I was appalled when I read about this Judge Merrill, that she gave visitation rights to a very caring father who read to his children every night, and then divorced the wife, which is what I could investigate on it, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not in court. But she was moving across the country, no relatives, no job, nothing, just moving. That's what I understood. And so Judge Merrill gave visitation rights to the father on the internet 6 to 7 at night. And I thought, if this is the way that judges are ruling, what a shame. I mean, it is an absolute disgrace. You can't hug a computer. So I just wanted to note that that's what the case was.
And I'm just trying to make clear to you that, from what I've learned from last week, is how people go down that path is when shared physical custody is taken away from one parent. And I think that's really important to understand that temporary orders. Taking away shared physical custody has a lot of effects, and I don't even know why it's being taken away from a parent who's going to have that child with them anyhow. Why would you ever take away the idea of shared physical custody?
Well, we have an opportunity to talk.
And if they've been a good parent.
Thank you. I think